Welcome into DC On Screen, your guide, usually, to the DC Universe on film and television. We got a lot to talk about in this episode, I suppose. This is, we've talked about it every once in a while. The fabled Secret Origins Q&A episode that we have been planning on doing and been asking you guys on social media, the social meds, as they call it. So, if you've never heard this show before, I guess this episode is going to be a great introduction to us and our show.
And so weird that you found it.
So weird that you found it. Yeah. But, I am your host, David C. Robertson. This is my co-host, Jason Goss.
Hello.
And, I don't know how to start this thing.
I mean, Secret Origins Q&A, I think we've covered the basis.
Yeah.
We normally explore movies and television. Today we're exploring the us.
And movies and television.
And movies and television.
And graphic novel. We're talking about a lot of stuff here.
A lot of stuff.
And we may actually pose questions that we were given, at least acknowledge them, and then move on, because we don't know what to say. We don't know how to answer.
We're literally just going to go down this list and see what happens. So
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be, did you condense the Chris White questions? Okay, so This is going to be the Christopher White section, which makes sense because he was pretty much our first fan, really.
Yeah. First vocal one, at least.
Yeah, the first vocal one. All right, so Chris White asks, what was your first exposure to the DC Universe?
Max Fleischer.
Tim Burton.
Done.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, all of that kind of swam together a little bit.
I mean, we're probably talking about, 29-year-old memories in both of our cases. Mm-hmm. Maybe plus. So the first thing I could recall is Max Fleischer.
The actual first
Faster than a speeding bullet.
The first thing I actually recall is my mom being like, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And she's like, Batman! And like the thing, but her going, do-do-do-do-do-do, it wasn't na-na-na-na-na. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, all I could see in my head was like a little swirly thing from the Twilight Zone. And I thought like Batman was real creepy and scary. Yeah.
So you were perfectly set up for the Dark Knight when you met him. Yeah.
Yeah, and then in '89, that movie came out, and she took me to go see that for my 6th birthday.
Yeah.
She and my dad took, and she was more excited than I was. Like, we got in her little, what was it? A Le Mans, a little red car. She said, let me get my Batmobile here, crank that up. And we were just laughing at her like, okay, Mom.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, so that was, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Chris says, what was the thing that made you love it? It was Batman.
I mean, have you watched these properties? I went back and watched Max Fleischer a few years ago. It was still fine.
Yeah, I have them on DVD. All 17 of the cartoons. They're amazing.
They're fine.
And, I found those in like a VHS bin shortly after, not 66. What am I talking about? 89.
Yeah.
So,
Like, I know I've told this story before, but like I saw those and I was so taken that I got kicked out of my like preschool class for running around the classroom in a Superman cape. Mm-hmm. You couldn't talk me out of that cape. It was a full body thing. I had the whole blue and red thing.
I had a blue floral blanket that I used to wrap around my neck, and I called myself Super Dude.
You make do.
You make do. And I had like a pair of goggles that were
trying to avoid copyright problems early on.
Sure, I did. It was weird.
Yeah,
I didn't even know about it, but I was still like, you can't be Superman, not in this costume.
Never been a plagiarist in your heart.
I had these little goggles that were from my mom's heat lamp. Like she had like a tanning lamp.
Oh God, yeah, okay.
And I basically just absconded with her goggles, and because I thought they looked like superhero goggles.
Sure.
And I wore those all the time because I thought I was something.
You ended up looking like some weird floralized Dr. Midnight.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did look like just a character from The Tick.
Yeah, probably.
In your opinion, what is the most underrated story in the DC Comics universe? Thoughts?
Grant Morrison's Animal Man run.
Really? Yep. Grant Morrison's Animal Man? Because I think that's pretty heralded. Like, it's not mainstream, but everybody, gives it the thumbs up.
It's got a lot of thumbs up, but of the ones I can personally vouch for and the ones that just haven't made it to the mainstream media, that's what I've got.
I don't know. I want to go and say the idiot route. It was literally like part 3 of that story was literally the first storyline I ever read of Batman. Like I got like part 3 for Christmas, and it was the creepiest thing. It was like Batman, and he was running around and like there were like Aztec jungles or something.
Wow.
Maybe there were Mayans. I don't know, but there were like. It was sort of almost a precursor to like an Inception type of idea, because there were all these people who were called, there was this creature, this like subconscious creature called the Idiot, who was like feeding people this thing called the Idiot Root, and they were like addicted to it, but they were like in a hive mind or something, and they were like, the surreal was like feeding into his power.
God. Alright, whoever wrote this is a fan of Carl Jung. I'm telling you, that is some ego, superego, Freudian, second nature.
They get all into that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and I remember being a kid going, it was like 91.
Carl Jung's like one consciousness thing. Like I promise you, whoever did that is a fan.
And I remember Norm Brayfogle was the artist, and I absolutely adored what he was doing because he was playing a lot with the. As an adult, I realized he was playing a lot with, the symbolism of Batman and the fear aspects of Batman, but also like meshing that into like the subconscious mind. And
well, I'm a little sold on this.
It's pretty dope, really. Like, and Batman has to take the route to go in and get the people out, and so like
Young made for bad psychology, but great fiction.
He winds up, he thinks he's got the people out, and then like they're making a break for it, and you just see like this great like Brayfogle like panel of Batman with his eyes wide, like, no, it can't be. And like you see like the river, and it's just like Mayans in like 1950s automobiles, like convertibles, Mm-hmm. And they're like canoeing down this river in all these like 1950s convertibles, and he's like, it's so idiotic.
Oh God.
And he was still trapped in the mind space of the Idiot. And like the whole point was the Idiot was slowly getting stronger and feeding on the subconscious or something of all these people. And he was slowly becoming like, he actually does like show up in the real world. It was crazy, but like it captured my imagination as a kid.
I'm pretty happy with that storyline. I'm interested now.
Yeah. And I was confused as hell because I was like, there's like this Mayan kid. I don't understand why he's like running around on a loincloth. Like, do they still do that now?
Like, I feel like if you'd taken like Psych 101 and then read that, you could have been like, oh, this is amazing symbolism. But this is pretty much allegory.
But it was 91. So
but yeah. Yeah.
I was like 8 or something.
Yeah, you were like, this is weird.
Right. I was like, is that kid Robin? What's happening?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Looking back, you went, oh.
But I've heard like, you don't hear a lot about it. But, I've heard over the years a few people just be like, yeah, it's like a stupid idiot route storyline. I'm like, you shut your mouth. That brought me into a wonderful world.
Fair enough.
And Norm Brayfogle. All right. So, what was your first DC collectible? It was, in fact, the Toy Biz Gold Card 1989 Michael Keaton Batman, except he had the round chin. They had like 3 different chins. Like square chin, round chin, and the Michael Keaton chin. They actually kind of went the extra expense and made him look like Michael Keaton.
Nice.
I had the round chin. And then at a later date, I had the square chin.
Nice.
Both of those, one of those is still around. And then I also bought another one. But it's still in the box. But that was the first one.
Yeah, mine was probably Happy Meal toys.
Happy Meal toys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a bunch of those too.
Yeah. I didn't get collectibles so much as I did a bunch of toys.
Well, like, they're action figures. I don't know. Like, my mom, like I said, it was my 6th birthday. She went to take me to see Batman, and then, like, I came home and had a a Ghostbusters birthday party that opened up a bunch of Batman toys. So,
I did. I have a ton of, at the same time, I had a ton of Ghostbuster and Ninja Turtle stuff. And then,
me too.
There was like this smattering of Batman stuff in there between.
Yep. Before the multiverse.
Yep.
There was our toy box.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a jump here. How did you learn about podcasts?
Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I learned about podcasts back probably in 2003 from a friend of mine, Russ McKinney.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy I went to college with, and he was an older guy. He was really into computers, and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to show you something that's really cool." I was like, "All right." This is before YouTube, guys. and he just started showing me these videos, and this is how they were calling them podcasts, and they were video podcasts. And he's like, these are podcasts. They can.
What, these like QuickTime videos?
I mean, they were uploading them through Apple. So
Yeah,
it was still
these
the
were like
iTunes store,
little
yeah.
QuickTime videos.
Yeah. And
man.
And he's like, it's called podcasts. They're video and audio podcasts. And these are videos. And he showed me Ask a Ninja. You ever see Ask a Ninja?
No. I remember the name, but I never...
It was just a guy who was like, ooh, and he had all this advice and it was stupid and talk about being a ninja.
Yes, I do.
They're very funny.
I do remember those.
And at least to me in college they were.
Yep.
And he was like, this is probably going to be the next wave of entertainment. He didn't see YouTube coming.
Nope.
Or Twitch or any of that crap. But I was intrigued. I was like, how do you do this? He's like, oh man, it's so complicated. You got to get like an RSS feed and there's like, you got to do this. I was like, okay, I don't even know. But yeah, so.
No, all of that passed me by. I did entirely different things and then like looked around and they just literally looked around and went, I can stream things?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Yeah. Found a few that I liked.
Alright, so The Dark Knight Returns and Killing Joke notwithstanding, what other stories would you like to see adapted to film or television? The Idiot route.
Yep.
I really want to see Nightfall. Like, I want like a 3-part... I want a
like
trilogy.
A nice 3-part series. I mean, it'd have to be like a 6-hour story.
I would like an animated, like, Bruce Timm-esque, like, maybe even like New 52-esque, you know? But like 3-part, like, story that would be Nightfall, Night's In, and Night Quest, or whatever it was. Nightfall, Night's Quest, and Night's In.
Alright. I mean, if I have 3 hours, I want Hush. If I have an hour and a half normal film, even on like DC animated direct to DVD, Kingdom Come.
I'd love to see Kingdom Come.
Right?
I really would. But I feel like one of the reasons I wouldn't even say that though, as my first choice, is just because like there's no way they're going to duplicate that art.
No, there's not a chance in that. I mean, that's one of the beauties of it. But no, there's no way. I feel like you'd have to do something weird and kitschy to try.
Yeah.
I think the answer is to just absolutely commit to your premise and do it as an animated and never even try to
just never do it.
No. Like get the same frames. Like use the staging and the blocking and the composition of his pieces, but don't try.
I think there's one way to do it. I really do. Rotoscope, yeah. Like do like a Scanner Darkly with Keanu Reeves type of thing. I think that would be the only way. Like actually have the actual models that Alex Ross uses and use them as the actors. You can bring him with a voice.
No, you could. No, you could actually like pull in that as 3D graphics and mocap the entire thing if you really wanted to. But
yeah, way too much trouble.
Yeah, it'd just be easier to animate it straight out, and it's still a powerful story.
Mm-hmm. So. It is. What was it about podcasting that made you go, "Hey, guy, I can do this"? He's referencing our web series. Hey,
yes,
guy.
Yes. We were already doing it and we didn't know it.
Podcasting became easier.
I mean, well, podcasting got to that point where it was like, well, crap, man. And
the equipment got cheaper.
Which made it something that we could actually do. But really, it got to the point where like you kind of.
I've been bugging you for like 2 years to do a podcast.
Well, you'd already talked to me about it several times. Like, dude, we already do this. We stay up till like X time in the morning just chatting about Batman. Like, why not record it?
Yeah.
And
we watch all these shows. We look at the news.
I always thought we didn't have time. And then it finally got to the point where I had to admit, like, no, seriously, we have time. I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, all of the time that I just like call you up and I seriously did for years.
Yeah.
I would just either sit at the computer and talk to Jason when we lived together, or just call him up.
I had a girlfriend or a fiance or roommate or some whatever the heck was in my house at the time, and I'd be standing in the backyard walking in circles, chatting to Dave about all this.
And I was literally on news sites just reading him the news and going, oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, we were already doing it was the point. And the technology got there, and we kind of thought, well, let's do it.
Yeah. Plus, it was a nice excuse to keep chatting once I moved out.
Yeah.
By extension, what about your podcast stands apart from the rest? What do you hope that listeners will take away from it? I don't know.
We're honest?
I mean, I would hope a lot of them were. I don't know. I I feel, and I don't know, I don't listen to a huge amount of podcasts because I don't have time.
No, and
I actually do listen to a lot of podcasts, but I don't want to listen to it about this.
Well, I really don't. I listen to it as much as I can. I listen to like original content somewhere else, but I don't. God, I don't really want to listen to a lot of other opinions. Like, I think you were talking to Tim the other day that had the same opinion. Like, you don't really want to, oversaturate yourself with other people's takes opinions. On DC.
Yeah, Tim of the Squadcast.
Yeah, and
I still listen to those guys, but I listen to them like 2 or 3 weeks later than when they actually put out an episode.
See, you don't want to like go in and listen to everybody that week and go record your thing. It's not. You're always filtering it through what you hear.
And I did it at first too, and that's why like about 50 episodes back on the news episodes, you'd be like, you'd hear me say like, well, Scott of the Squadcast thought this and this and this. I'm like, why am I even saying that? I just got to stop listening to their show like up front.
Yeah.
Crazy.
The only thing I think we have that's different really is just the I want to call it honesty. It's just a lack of tact. We have a lack of tact that other podcasts lack.
Yeah. We also have a lack of stubbornness in a lot of ways, I feel like.
Well, we do. Like, if we change our minds, we say we change our minds.
Yeah.
And we've been called on it and had to defend ourselves, and it is what
we're
it is
people,
there.
We're people.
My opinion changes. If I'm convinced that I was wrong about that, I'll change it again. Shit.
Sometimes I'm not convinced I was wrong. Sometimes I'll just go, you know what? Maybe it's time to just not be such a dick.
You're right.
I don't know.
If I hope anyone takes anything away from it, it's that they should contact us more about if we're wrong about something.
Yeah, if we're wrong, let us know, I guess. And not your opinion wrong, like literally factually wrong.
I'm good with your opinion wrong.
Yeah,
also,
I'm good with that. Just don't be a dick about it.
Every now and then, the most rewarding thing to hear is like, I thought that, and I didn't know I was thinking that until you said it. Mm-hmm. Those are some of the greatest things to hear.
Oh yeah, those are amazing.
Like those, I knew there was something wrong, and you nailed it. Oh man, that's
a great thing.
I did love that.
All right, so how did Dave and Jason meet?
Well, Dave and Jason were working at the same place at some time, and we both came in very hungover. Mm-hmm. And we gave that look to each other that hungover people give, where there's this like quality of understanding, where you both know that you're just going to be covering for each other as best you can. But it was literally us two working this shift. So, I mean, it's not like let's go hide in the back and let everyone do it. It's like okay, we got to get this done.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't a pretty point in my life.
No. It was one of those like, that was just what I called the normal hangover.
Okay.
It was like the regular amount of hungover at that period. And then, we kind of, somewhere in the middle of getting through that, started badgering about different stories, different television shows we'd enjoyed.
I mean, I guess technically we had met a little earlier than that, but, I had it on authority that Jason was an arrogant ass. And I thought, he always seemed like an okay guy to me. And like the 2 times that I've spoken to him briefly.
Yeah, we'd literally had like...
And it turned out those reports were completely right, but that's what I loved about him.
Right.
So, because I'm that too.
Yeah.
Because then the people who tell me like, hey, Jason's an arrogant ass, we're going to other people going, hey, Dave's an arrogant ass. So I was like, oh, okay. So this third party that's the dick. Okay, cool.
Or it's this third party that's entirely right. But now we're in this group together.
But yeah, like I think there was like this amazing night where we just got off of work at the same time and like we're hanging out by your car, and I started noticing you had a lot of books in your car, and I was like, oh my god, you've read that?
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about that. Wait, do you watch this? Me too.
As people do, we just kind of like bonded over. I say as people do, as people that might be in the group of people that are listening to this, we bonded over the set of fictions that we loved.
Yeah, I think sadly one of those things was like you like looked at me one day and you were like, hey, so have you ever watched Fringe? And I was like, no. And you were like, well, they're doing a cool thing in season 2. Are you gonna watch it? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna watch it. He's like, they're doing a cool thing in season 2. They've brought in a multiverse. I was like, I was like, he just said multiverse.
And at some point you mentioned, you asked me about Star Trek. I was like, no. And I told you what I knew about it. I was like, but I need you to tell me what happened. And there was like several hours of you explaining what happened in different parts of the Star Trek universe. Like, that's amazing. I wish I'd seen that. I didn't have time.
So yeah, I mean, like any friendship, it was a gradual thing. But that's how we met, essentially.
Pointfully enough, we bonded over a bunch of fiction.
Right. What was the worst DC Comics storyline that you've ever read?
I really don't know.
Yeah?
It's a hard question to answer.
It's not for me. The idiot route. I'm kidding. It may actually be. I don't know.
It's possible. I really don't know. I mean, every now and then I would pick up some New 52 stuff and just go, what's happening here?
See, I don't want to harsh on the New 52 too much because I just want to, because I'm in my headspace, I'm desperately trying to defend the previous canon. So,
well, it's back now, so.
Yeah, kind of.
It's fine.
But, I kind of want to say, one of the first things that popped in my mind was 52. Not the New 52.
No, the actual 52.
52, yeah. Where they, everyone went away for a year and then, shitty B villains, or B heroes run around.
Yeah, like Booster and...
I enjoyed the Booster segments, but other than that, I couldn't care less, really.
I like
Montoya was kind of cool.
I like Montoya.
Yeah, like we said that at the same time. Montoya.
That's cool. Anyway, it's hard to pick one of those out. Here's the reason, though, and it's just...
Most things with Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, most things with... I would just guess, anything with the Hawks. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan.
Commandi.
Anything with Commandi is probably the real answer to that. But short of us having a stereotypical hate toward certain characters, it's really hard to pick out one storyline. Because especially sometimes you read a thing and you don't like it and you just forget it because you didn't like it.
I mean, well, the Hawks would have been a good candidate. Remember specifically the Ron Thanagar War was awful. It was an awful side whatever. I don't even know what it was. It was awful.
It was part of Crisis.
Yeah, one of the Crisis.
I think Infinite.
But, to be fair, though, I guess it was the early aughts when Jeff Johns kind of came back and rebooted Hawkman. The first several issues of Hawkman with Jeff Johns were probably one of the best comic books I've read in a long time.
Probably it's Jeff Johns, but,
Yeah, so...
Certain characters I just care less about than others.
It's hard to say. But I'll throw Commandi under the bus. I know some people are going, heresy!
Yeah.
And Jack Kirby, do you have no respect? I'm sorry, I didn't care for it. I don't like Commandi.
Out of several hundred characters, we're bound to disagree on a few things.
I don't like the Dog Man and Commandi.
Sorry. Sorry.
My bad. You're stranded on an island alone. What 5 trade paperbacks or comic books would you want with you?
I'll go first. Watchmen, New Frontier, Dark Knight Returns, All-Star Superman, and Red Sun.
Okay. I'm going to go Watchmen, Dark Knight Returns, Kingdom Come, New Frontier, and Blankets by Craig Tompkins.
Fair enough.
Tompkin? I don't know his name. Excellent book, though. Look up either one of those.
To some extent, I erred on the side of longevity with those actual books.
Yeah.
They're just bigger. I'm stuck on an island.
Yeah, they're bigger, and they all have really cool artwork, and a lot of cool layers in their stories. I'm down with it. Let's say you were in charge of starting a new civilization and all you had to teach people were comic books. What would you use to guide their moral compass and instill values in them? See the previous answer for me.
I would limit it to New Frontier because you can teach archetypes. All-Star, not All-Star Superman. Oh, that wouldn't be bad.
All-Star Superman wouldn't be bad. Superman for All Seasons wouldn't be bad either.
Not either.
Peace on Earth.
Peace on Earth Superman is what I was going for. Just is this wonderful little book where Superman decides not to hit anyone, but instead just fix world hunger, which would do an inestimable amount of good. It's just a glorious little tale that's just heartwarming. So you can
Alex
teach...
Ross and Paul Dini.
Oh God, yes. You can teach this huge amount of hope. You can use New Frontier to do archetypes, and then Watchmen would be my third because I keep swearing I could teach an entire class on ethics just based on Watchmen.
I've seen people try.
Yeah, you need to have that depth of twisted morality to really understand if you're going to start a civilization, you don't need to learn in year 250 that, hey, maybe someone can do the wrong thing for the right reason.
Yeah.
You need to know up front what might happen if that happens.
If I were the dean of a college and you asked to teach an ethics class on Watchmen, I would look down on you and whisper, no.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What if you won a contest and Jeff Johns came to you and asked you to help him recast the DCEU? Who would you change and who would stay the same? Everybody would say the same.
That's getting rough because Justice League at this point is looking great.
Mm-hmm. My biggest problem so far casting wise has been Jared Leto's Joker.
Sure.
And it wasn't even the casting, it was just the direction he was in. And I would just kind of go with Grant Morrison's bit and say, hey, so you're Super Saiyan and not Super Saiyan. Calm down, Dragon Ball Z fans. Super Saiyan, and you have different personalities. So let's just do that and change it up and wash that tattoo off of your head that says damaged. But if I had to recast, if it was a gun to my head, and I had to recast like Batman and Joker, I'd say Michael Fassbender as Batman, Alan Tudyk as the Joker.
Yeah, that's the only one I'd replace right now. Is Alan Tudyk as the Joker.
Yeah.
The only backup Joker I would have is Matt Smith.
Ooh, I'd be also happy with Tom Hiddleston, but I know it would be weird. But
he'd
be fantastic.
I just think Matt Smith could pull off that wonderfully lanky and the purple suit look. You know,
I do too.
And God knows, I think he could go crazy.
I think he could, sure.
Yeah. Sad though that we're only thinking about recasting the Joker, but I think that's just because everyone fantasizes about like who could play the Joker so many times.
Pretty much, and I'm really happy with the rest of the cast though.
I don't think anyone's made any real.
It's not the cast that
It's
are
not
any of
the
my
cast
issues.
that are the problems. Yeah, it's not.
It's the writing.
It's the direction of the story. Absolutely.
What is your favorite comic? Who is your favorite comic book artist and writer?
No idea overall. I mean, like Adams and O'Neill is always going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, it's Snyder and Capullo.
Okay.
But God, and you'd have to ask at a certain time.
Yeah. I really like Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale.
Oh, that's not bad.
Long
Halloween, yeah.
Love Jim Lee. It's just, Al Williamson, Bernie Wrightson, like we just mentioned with the Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
But I love so many different styles, man. It's hard for me to say like who my favorite comic book artist is.
Yeah.
I love the hell out of John Romita Jr.
But sadly, like a question like
Madureira.
favorite for an artwork style, unfortunately, boils down to like who's best for this thing.
Yeah.
I think you have to know what's hitting,
about
and
tone.
like real magic happens when like the writer is writing for a guy who knows how to draw that writer.
Yeah, I think it's about tone. I think it also sucks asking about the writer because I love Frank Miller in 1986.
Yeah,
but Frank Miller,
a few years later,
since maybe that third Sin City book, oh my gosh, what are we doing? So,
Alan Moore, love a lot of his work.
Yeah,
he's kind of a dick.
Then once you get to Lost Girls, I dare you to try to read that and feel like a person,
right?
Like, and it's not even it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. Some of these people that I feel like are my favorites, then they do stuff and I'm like, oh, like Chris Claremont, one of the greats, right? Wrote X-Men for 25 years. Came back in the early aughts, ruined X-Men for 25 years. That's just like everyone's excited. We're like, oh my god, we're getting Chris Claremont back, and he's gonna be, of course, he's gonna be writing Gambit. He created Gambit. We're finally gonna get the end of the storyline as far as like what he wanted for Gambit, and he's gonna bring back all these people and Psylocke and all that. And
Screw you, Remy.
And then he just sucked. He just sucked. Anyway.
It's rough. Like everybody has. If you're writing for long enough, especially if you're writing in like a small time environment, it's not small time. Sorry, that's the wrong word. In a small time frame environment like comic books, where you have you really don't have a ton of time to get your story out. A lot of the time, you may or may not hit gold.
Yeah.
I mean, you may have a bad month, dude, and then you may have a month that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know. But that said, I am really amped for Scott Snyder's medal with Greg Capullo.
I'm straight. I mean, right now, Snyder's on top of the pile.
All right, what is your least favorite comic book artist and writer?
No idea.
All of the people I said I love.
On a bad day.
Once they've gained a notoriety and moved on to their own original things and then come back like 15 years later, they all suck. The only person I feel like I can still trust is Mark Waid. And Jeff Johns so far. In your opinion, why is it so hard to make a good Superman video game or any superhero game for that matter? I don't know anything about making video games, but I would guess the engine has to be just right. I think that's probably one of the reasons that the Arkham games are so special, is because they understood the mechanics of the Batman universe and how that character should move and feel. With Superman, it's going to be a lot harder because, he's Superman. You're going to have to depower him a lot to make anything work.
That's one of the main things.
And plus, his villains suck. Like, you got Lex Luthor, Brainiac, Metallo. That's about it.
The best Superman game you could really design is pretty much a puzzle game.
They did that. It was called Shadow of Apocalypse. It's based on the Bruce Timm, Paul Dini universe. I'm serious.
That's real. I mean, that's pretty much the best you can do.
It was a lot of fun. You got to hit some dudes.
You can't make it a physical game.
Yeah. I mean, you got to hit some dudes, but that was like a little thing. And then you would have to some big thing would be happening. You'd have to pick up pieces and fly it up and figure out where to put them and stuff.
Like with Superman in particular, a lot of what he deals with, this is one of the reasons I love him so much. It's a moral dilemma. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what he deals with most of the time, is a moral dilemma. Like, what does a god do, a demigod, whatever you want to call him at the time, in a land of real mortals? And that's not something that translates very well to a game.
It doesn't.
Like, you can probably make it a good... they have these new series of games where it's like choose your own adventure kind of things. Mm-hmm. You might actually be able to make it a cool one of those, but then you'd still have the complaint of, well, there's no action here.
Yeah.
So if you did one of those every now and then, like, the best I could pitch is if you did one of those games where it's like choose your own adventure, but part of your adventure was like, do you hit this guy so hard his head implodes? Or do you draw your hand back and threaten him instead,
Right. I'm sure there's a way to do it. If at any time in history you could ever make a plausibly interesting Superman game, it would be now.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed.
You would just have to depower him a little bit. It'd be like a rewarding thing when you're Superman at the end. You'd probably have to switch off powers where you have this or that for other reasons. Like, you'd have to rewrite a little bit of how Superman works to do it, I think.
Maybe.
Because, think about it. Injustice is a great game, but that's not Superman. He didn't have a power bar like everybody else,
I mean, he does.
It's not the same size as everybody else's.
All right. So Josh McKay... Thank you, Chris, for all those questions, dude.
Yeah, man.
Josh McKay over on Twitter says, what made you guys decide to start a podcast / YouTube channel in the first place? Which that's kind of already been answered, but the YouTube channel thing was a thing that I started in, 06? Well before I met you.
Yeah.
And I made I was actually making a feature film. I was trying to make a feature film. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, everything fell out from underneath. The floor just bottomed out. And everyone that I was actually, planning on having in this thing, got married and moved away and or decided to, just randomly have a career somewhere. And, gotta hurry. And I wound up writing one scene to fruition and just realized, you know what? It doesn't even involve the people who are moving away. So I shot that because I still thought it was funny, and that was called The Drifter. And it had to be taken down and re-uploaded because for some reason I was convinced to put some copyrighted music in there. Because in those days it didn't matter so much, and then 3 years later it mattered. So YouTube took it down, and now it doesn't matter again.
Yeah.
Now they just say, "Hey, we'll just take some money out of the thing and whatever." But it was called The Drifter. It's online. You can find it. David C. Robertson on YouTube. But we did a bunch of, I was very inspired by the Ask a Ninja and did these curmudgeon's perspectives where that's what it was called. And it was a takeoff of these articles I used to write for my school paper where I would just rampantly bitch about random things. It was supposed to be comedy, but apparently nobody took it that way. And then I started doing comedy sketches with Matt Carroll, the MCU cast. And then met Jason and thought he was one of the funniest people I ever met. And he had aspirations for writing as well. So started making videos with him. And of course that just, it's a lot of work to do those. And it's hard to get everybody sat down and with lighting and everything. And,
I mean, I love the flattering comedy and everything. We got stuck together and we both wanted to write things. So
is that how you remember it?
Yeah.
I've been stuck with a lot of people. And I didn't want to write things with them.
Yeah, but we wanted to write some stuff and had access to a camera, so the poor rest of the world had to actually.
So you guys have 167 videos floating around online if you want to go check those out. And there may be more someday. I still have ideas. I still want to do. I still want to do
I
those
do
things.
too. It was still a really fun project, man.
I think variety shows are one of my favorite things ever.
It was fun.
They don't get many views. Just some of them do.
We just had that like challenge, like 2 days before Halloween. We're like, you want to do a 30-minute Halloween special?
Yeah, we did a 30-minute Halloween special.
Let's see if we can just make 30 minutes happen.
Yeah. So
it was ridiculous, but we had fun doing it, man.
I think the podcast, we have a lot of fun. For me personally, I always felt like doing a podcast could parlay into more opportunities somewhere along the line. You talk about comic books enough, they'll, call you up and go, hey, you sound like you know your stuff.
Sure.
You want to write a thing? I mean, look at Kevin Smith,
Why not?
And maybe that probably won't happen, but, I have fun talking about all this stuff and I'm going to do it anyway. So
yeah.
Might as well. And
actually, to be honest, like on a day-to-day basis, this is way more rewarding than
the videos.
Oh yeah,
I don't feel that way necessarily.
No,
it's just different.
Seeing the finished product of a video is really rewarding, but like for what you put into doing a podcast and getting to talk to everybody, way more rewarding.
Yeah. If we'd had like a niche with the videos, maybe we would have had fans to talk to.
Oh, that'd been great. Yeah.
Instead, we made an improvised web series about two old guys where the camera never moved, and it does have a story. I swear to God, it has a story, guys.
It has a weird, kind of fun story, actually. It's completely improvised over like 6 years,
and it's not just me and Jason; it's me and a few other guys. But there's a story to it, and it's weird. And I don't know if you decide to go on that journey, it'll only take you about 3 hours to watch the entirety of it.
Yeah.
But Godspeed. And
I suggest drugs.
I have no such suggestions.
I'm willing to go there.
If you have questions, which you will, you can message me.
Mm-hmm. If you have questions about what drugs,
stealing the remote. Our friend Eli Oppelders of Stealing the Remote, which is a phenomenal little podcast where he forces his mom to watch movies he likes, and they do a podcast about it.
Right.
There's several in now. They've done Suicide Squad and BVS and Memento and a whole bunch of stuff. It's really good.
This is getting good.
So he asks, so if you wanted to make your respective mothers watch one movie that you think they should be forced to see, which one would it be?
I would make my mom watch Ghostbusters.
Uh-huh.
The first Ghostbusters. Because she watched it so many times over my shoulder when I was like 4 years old that if she saw it one more time, it might drive her to the edge of insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me would be funny. But for Eli's sake, I would suggest Shaun of the Dead.
Right.
I think that's the next one you make your mom watch, is some British guy killing a bunch of zombies.
Yeah. And that would be perfect because Eli's mom is very she always complains that the Americans are too violent.
No. There's a Cornetto series of 3 violent movies.
Yeah.
Plenty of stuff violence to tread on there.
But to be fair, they are paying homage to American films.
They are, pretty much paying homage to, yeah.
That answer for me, I've already made my mom watch it, and that was The Big Lebowski.
Good. How'd that go?
Yeah.
Good.
She thought she would hate it because she'd heard it for years when I would live there, when I was a kid. Because, I just went ahead and bought that. And, but then I made her watch it, and she was like, yeah, it was good. It was funny. All right. Yeah.
The only other one I could think of would be, Where the Buffalo Roam.
Oh.
Because I have no idea how she'd react. I mean, she liked Bill Murray.
Yeah.
She did. But, Where the Buffalo Roam is a very kind of specific and...
You should just show her broken flowers. Just...
No. I wouldn't do that to anyone.
Lost in translation?
Wouldn't do that to anyone I shared blood with.
All right. So yeah, you guys should go check out Stealing the Remote. It's a fantastic podcast. Tim Yoko of the Suicide Squadcast asks us, just how awesome is it for you guys to be friends with the Suicide Squadcast guys?
The awesome.
It is the awesomest. And he says, my real question is, would a Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline several years from now be too confusing for the general audience?
Any more than it was for the original?
Here's the thing. I personally think they should do Crisis on 2 Earths, or at the very most Crisis on multiple Earths.
Uh-huh.
Just to dip the toe in, and they should limit it somewhat.
Which medium though we're talking about here?
I'm talking about film.
Okay, DCEU. Okay.
Yeah, But I'm saying they should actually do the DCTV stuff. They should, like, do a truncated version of it. Don't even bring in the Anti-Monitor. No. Make it about, like, Owlman as, you know, played by Fassbender, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? He's, like, the quintessential that I keep thinking of. It's just like, I need to see him in a cowl.
Honestly, the way Rebirth's doing it, do it as Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, could do Patrick Wilson, could do Orm.
Yeah.
But have a multiverse story, do a Flash dying story, but also you need to, like, I need to see Michael Keaton. I need to see, you know, an Adam West possibly.
Need to be a lot of cameos. This is like if we make it 15 years kind of story, I think. Mm-hmm. If you've been following this for more than a decade, like you've learned to drive.
Yeah.
In the time, like, you were born.
I'm thinking 10 years.
Now you can drive. No, I mean, like, 10 years
give
is
me
like...
a Justice League 2, and then let's do this.
No. I'm thinking longer
15,
than that.
20 years is when you do Infinite Earths. And just start making one of your movies a crisis movie.
No, I was thinking, like, for
year.
me, like, 15 years is the Infinite Earths.
Or every 2 years.
Yeah. Here's
an identity crisis.
You've established everything. Yeah. Do your Infinite Earths. Do your Identity Crisis around 20.
Yeah.
And then kind of rewrite your Final Crisis around 25.
But my point is, if
you couldn't possibly do it because everyone would be so old.
Yeah. My point, though, is if you, in fact, do a situation where you're only bringing in the screen interpretations, I don't think it would be too confusing.
No.
Now, you know, as far as we know, they can't even get, like, a singular storyline within one universe correct.
Sure.
They can't figure out how to edit that to make it work. So there's some growth to be had.
Yes.
But I don't think that it's impossible. If they take out Pariah and the Anti-Monitor and all this weird BS.
I mean, I did love the Pariah part.
Well, sure, I like Pariah and Psycho Pirate and... Look, we can't get off into that.
Harbinger and everything.
All I'm saying. I think it's doable. And I think Jeff Johns is the man to do it if that is the case.
It could be done. I think you just do it through the Flash.
And I kind of want to see the Wachowskis direct that.
I don't know. Maybe. I'd love to pull the Russos.
I don't know. I do. You know what I want? And they'd never do it.
What?
They would never do it.
I think I know who you're going to say. Go ahead.
I want the Coen brothers.
I thought you were going to say the Coen brothers. Yes.
I want the Coen brothers somewhere.
Yeah.
And
but
if
no,
I had my
for a
say,
crisis, I thought, yeah.
No, not for the crisis. I would say for like the Question or something.
Really? Ooh, that would be great, actually.
Wouldn't it?
Yes. Like, they would end that in some way where you never knew what the question was.
Yeah. They could call it Aquarius Man.
Yeah. It would ostensibly be the question. You'd never know.
Yeah.
That would be solid.
Anyway.
That would be solid.
Moving on. Rick's story, and I'm assuming this is somewhat of a joke. It says, how does it feel to steal Suicide Squadcast competition idea? And I felt like including this one, even though Tim already stuck up for us. You know, we had ideas for giveaway. We did giveaways before. And then I'd had a similar idea about the trade paperbacks and the Blu-rays. And then became aware of them. And then realized they were doing that. And I felt like, oh, that's not cool for us to do. Unless I ask him about it.
Yeah, you literally said, do you mind if we do this?
Yeah, so I was like, hey man, you know, can we do, we're going to add Blu-rays and DVDs to it. You guys just do the trade paperbacks. And he was like, hey, you know, just don't call yourself Suicide Squadcast. And I was like, that seems fair.
That's fine. I'm good with that.
So, with Tim's blessing, you know, we like a lot of stand-up comedy. Like, we don't like plagiarists.
No.
So, you go to the person who was doing the bit first, not whoever thought it up first. If you find out somebody was doing the bit first, you go to them and say, hey, man.
To plagiarize a little, I'll say I feel fine.
I sleep well.
Yeah.
But anyway, that giveaway's over, so.
Screw it all.
So Rick actually also asked us, whose idea was it and how did it go as far as the podcast goes? Whose idea was it and how did it go when you first launched? Well, we've already talked about whose idea it was. It was mine. Mm-hmm. It was my constant badgering for 2 or 3 years.
No doubt.
Was it popular straight away, or did it take some time an effort to gain the following it has now? It was not popular straight away, probably. I mean, I guess we could say it was, and as far as we were getting traction, I don't think we ever had a week where it, went down.
No, I mean, we trended up, but not, we didn't have, an exponential rise of any kind. This was,
right.
Yeah. It
was
a slow crawl.
It didn't go down. That's
to where we are,
part.
yeah.
And I'm always going to say, is popular now? Because that's just me. I'm never going to be happy. If we had 1 million listeners tuning in every episode, I'd still be like,
what are we reaching?
But we're not getting that content. It's always going to be that for me. And that'll be the way I am until I'm dead, probably.
Yeah. No, I'm happy for everyone we found, but there's plenty of room to grow, no doubt.
There's plenty of room to grow, and it's also I don't want the misconception floating around that it's somehow just here's a pile of crap we said, and we're gonna sit back and watch it grow. No, it's been a lot of hard work.
Actively try to promote it, and
it's been a lot of hard
work.
Try to
get out there and try to talk to people.
There's a whole lot of stuff for the social meds and the actual behind the scenes stuff.
And it's very selfish. The point is, it's really rewarding to get out there and talk to people and actually have a conversation back. That's the reason we're doing this. We don't get paid.
We have ads and we are starting to get paid now.
We have a little bit of money, but it's not
because what you just did was you made a whole bunch of people go, bullshit. I hear those ads.
No one's quitting their job. We do this because
neither one of us are quitting our jobs.
We do this because it's rewarding.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
We like talking to people.
It is a lot of fun. We like talking to you guys, but it is a lot of hard work as well. It's a lot of time.
No one's quitting their job for a long time.
Probably not. No. So Scott of the Suicide Squadcast says, gun to your head, what are each of your personal top 3 episodes of all time of the DCAU? You may mix and match. All series on the table. And of course, that includes Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Batman the New Adventures, Static Shock, Zeta Project, Justice League Unlimited. Did I say Batman Beyond? Batman Beyond, if I didn't say that. I kind of feel like they're all going to be from the original Batman the Animated Series for me. I really love Epilogue.
Epilogue is in my top 3.
But it would be a top 5 for me. If it was top 5, it'd be Epilogue and that episode of Superman where Darkseid kills Dan Turpin. And you're like, what?
That was good.
And maybe that episode of Superman with the cop doesn't realize, figures out as he's getting the gas chamber that Clark Kent as Superman.
Oh, that was really good. Yeah.
But it doesn't stand up to Over the Edge or even further back.
No, Over the Edge is in the top 3. For me, Over the Edge, Epilogue, and God help me, what is the Batman Beyond episode where everyone goes silent?
Shriek.
Thank you. I love Shriek.
Yeah. Top 3.
Yes, because it's one of the moments where McGinnis finally becomes the guy who is willing to sacrifice himself for the city.
It does have that badass bit at the end where
he was finally the guy who was willing to be Batman.
Yeah, which is I believe it's the same episode. Is that the same episode where Shriek is trying to get Bruce Wayne to kill himself, or is that a separate episode later?
I think that was a later episode.
Okay, I love that. The whole episode's meh, all right.
Shriek's pretty great.
At the very end, as a villain. When he's trying to, he's like, why did you know that it wasn't you? He's like, because the voice called me Bruce. That's not what I call myself in my head. If I'm going top 3, I'd probably go all 3 for reals on the original animated series.
There's no harm in that.
Perchance to Dream has got to be
Solid.
One of those. I don't know, and probably just pick any 2 Joker episodes.
Joker's Favor, fine.
Joker's Favor is probably one of the ones that I remember the most of. The Man Who Killed Batman, maybe.
Batman's great. Joker's Favor's got to be in the top 10 of
You know
anybody.
what? The April Fool's Joker Trash episode, I don't care for that much.
Yeah.
Except, you killed Captain Clown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Oh, it was the introduction of some music that they used for the rest of the series. No, it was the dum 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 dum.
I'm pretty sure that was just that episode.
They used it a few times.
I don't know.
It came around. I listened for that one.
But I don't know. Oh my gosh, whatever that. I can't remember the name of the episode. I never can. The episode was and it was a weird one. I hated it when I was a kid, but I loved it as an adult. Mm-hmm. Like in retrospect, the one with like Arnold Stromwell is going after Thorne because he thinks Thorne has taken Stromwell's kid, and Thorne is like, "Come on, Arnie, I don't mess with family," and then it turns out that his son is like a junkie, and his wife like takes him and she's like, yeah, he got hooked on the crap you're pushing. And then like he's like dealing with his like sins and stuff, and his older brother, Mikey, is a priest now, and he like walks with a limp because when they were kids, like Arnie like stole some stuff, and then he was walking on the train tracks and the train was coming and he got his foot stuck and like Mikey saved him. Yeah. Oh my god, that's such a good episode.
That was one of those where like I'm usually turned off by the mob episodes. Then somewhere in the middle of that I went, no, this is good.
Yeah, that was a powerful episode. I love that episode.
That one's kind of early though.
Kind of.
Like I think that was volume 1.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's
volumes.
Hard to. No, it's really hard to. Please don't hold us accountable for any of that.
But Heart of Ice, dude. How do you pick 3? How do you pick 3, Scott? Yeah. That's on you. You said 3.
Pull the trigger. Is my point.
You know how to say this guy's name? Jeffrey Serbosic. Is that how? The Fige? I'll say the Fige. You know who you are, Jeff.
I'm sorry. I never have.
Yeah.
Jeffrey. I've always just thought of him as Jeffrey.
Yeah. Favorite non-DC movie and TV show? Movie Blues Brothers, TV show Firefly. Jason?
Movie Shaun of the Dead, TV show. I will not pick between Space, Firefly, and Studio 60.
Oh, Firefly's better than both of those.
I won't pick.
That's fair. They're both they're all solid. They're all solid as hell.
Well, again, pull the trigger.
Studio 60 a little more than Space for me. But just only because they do that flashback too many times. A couple too many times of
Brian?
Of Brian with his artistic thing.
I enjoyed that still, every time.
I mean, it was fun, but,
Still liked it. That was good.
I still think Firefly and Studio 60 are better than that, but...
Not by much if they are, especially for their time.
Not by much.
Space for when it was?
I mean, if you want to start it right now, I'd go see it. But, and you know what? But, hey, here's the thing. On the TV show for me, Rick and Morty is quickly beating it out.
God.
It's gaining steam on all of that.
On everything. I know. So we have too many to choose from, and how dare you?
I'm still going Firefly. Yeah.
Firefly 60, man. I can't.
Matthew Ryan Cronin asks us, exactly verbatim, why do you assholes hate Deathstroke? I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know.
I don't have any idea.
Well, we often say that we don't really care too much about him.
I don't hate him.
It's because he just kind of, I don't know, he's just kind of a mercenary dude.
I mean, I'm kind of interested in, the relationship he has with his kids, but then you turn around, he's sleeping with a 15-year-old Tara, and that's kind of creepy, and I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
and also the comics have never been, honestly speaking, the comics have never been happy enough with him to give him like one consistent backstory or motivation. Like sometimes he's kind of an anti-hero, and sometimes like, there are different ways he loses his eye, and then there are different ways that he... I just don't care, man. I just don't care. Like,
he's a little all over the place. He's kind of just...
I think he could be really cool, and in some cases is.
I don't know what to do with him a lot of the time. Is where like I don't know how to feel about him. I don't know what to do with him.
I think that's okay. I mean, I don't really know. I don't hate him.
Yeah.
Jason Smith has a number of questions for us. DC property that has not been made or in development that you most want to see made. Probably Booster Gold and Blue Beetle or Ambush Bug.
No, I said before, Kingdom Come. I'm good with that.
Kingdom Come?
Yeah.
I would much rather see a movie about Booster Gold and Blue Beetle than Kingdom Come.
Nah, I think we'll go with my choice there.
Okay. Capes. Cool fashion accessory or outdated life hazard? The people who have capes, I'm good with having capes, and the people who don't, I'm good with not having them.
Fictionally, awesome. In reality, you're gonna die.
Yeah. But if you're Superman and, like a jet engine grabs your cape, they're just going to rip it off of you, and you're going to be like, oh, okay.
Well, you're just going to down the jet?
Dun, da, da, dun, da, da.
Well, depending on the version of Superman, it might not even rip the cape. It might just, get caught up, down the jet, and he's like, oh, sorry.
He's not going to down the jet. He's there to save the jet.
Oh, no, it's fine. But, you know.
He'll be all right.
Also, a lot of pilots can take it down with one jet, apparently.
One engine?
One engine, yeah, sorry. I believe that scientifically, but if you told me that while I was falling to the ground with one engine, I'd be pissing myself.
Yeah. Apparently, you know, some article writers, I don't know, some authors, bloggers, whatever you want to call them, have now gone from armpit hair to how Wonder Woman's hair is always perfect. And I'm like, guys, how is Batman's cape always perfect? Because it's Batman's cape. It's Wonder Woman's hair. Come on.
I've never seen Henry Cavill's hair out of shape.
No. I mean, a little bit. But he was all scruffy and listening to Chris Cornell.
Even then, the top of his head was exactly where it was supposed to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just the thing. That's a movie convention. You know, who among us didn't kind of cock their head at the side in Star Trek Generations when the Enterprise D crashed and everyone flew about and Riker stood up with blood on his face, but his hair was perfect? I mean...
What are you going to do?
Powerful hairspray, guys.
Movie convention. Aquanet works for the stars.
So, for me, capes... If they have a cape, cool. If they have a, weird short jacket from the 90s, cool.
I'm just saying, at a Comic-Con, yeah, you may die.
You may die.
In fiction, we're good here.
Yeah, so I'm good. Best DC drinking game.
So.
They go clickbait based, like how many times they attack the show.
No, for mine, these all revolve around Arrow.
Oh, God. Oh, help us.
All right, so a couple seasons ago, it used to be every time you heard, Laurel, Sarah.
You're clipping so bad, man.
Damn right I am. That was your drink time.
My babies.
Oh, my girls.
My girls.
Every time you heard Quentin lament his children in some fashion, that was your drinking game.
Or for me, every time Diggle told Oliver to lie about something.
Yeah, about something. And now, it's every time, in this season, it's been every time someone in Russia actually takes a shot. Just take a shot with them.
Yeah.
You'll be pretty freaking wasted by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I mean... Anatoly, as far as I could tell, Anatoly had about 12 shots and then went and shot down about 14 men. No problem.
Yeah. For The Flash, I would say the drinking game on that show is anytime Joe, any Tom Cavanaugh, or Cisco makes me believe in the stupid-ass plot because of charisma.
Oh, I would just go
burgeoning charisma.
If it was Flash, I'd just go with Cisco pop culture reference. Bloop.
Oh yeah. I mean, you'll be like, this is an awful, stupid thing that should never happen, and Joe's like, that don't make no sense to me, and I'm like, hey, you won it for
There's
me,
a
Joe.
Shot. No, but
I believe in it now.
You could probably have about 6 shots an episode of, and this is 6 shots in about 44 minutes or an hour, depending on how you're watching it. Mm-hmm. You get pretty drunk by the end of a Flash if you just do it every time Cisco says, thou shalt not pass.
Oh, he's only said that once.
Well, I know. But every time there's a pop culture reference,
you're
going to get pretty drunk.
I don't know, guys. I don't know. Do you feel comics and comic movies have abandoned kids? With a shift to more adult stories and more R rating, are they abandoning what could be their future audience for an aging and fading one? No.
No.
I think there are plenty of versions of these characters for children.
Sure.
Whether they be on streaming online, like the Superhero Girls. Cartoon Network has plenty of family-friendly things. And if you don't believe that, then that's a problem with you.
There's plenty of stuff that's still for the younger generation.
Specifically Jason either.
Well, there's plenty of stuff that's using the characters that it's a younger generation that's going to grow. It's actually more impressive that the characters are growing up. Mm-hmm. Right, because they were born in an era where they weren't supposed to ever grow up, and then they started to for half a second, and then the Comics Code Authority happened, and the age of seduction of innocence happened, and everything. 15, 20 years of silence there, and then they finally got to do something. It's more impressive that those characters have sustained themselves than it is the fact that we're in a video game generation where we're one of the first generations that has video games as the heart of our time.
What's weird to me,
we've spent a lot of time on video games,
And what's weird to me is that people our age, are, and this is who I keep hearing it from. People our age are like, oh, comic books have moved beyond, and like now you can't be a kid and watch it. Are you kidding me?
Plenty of material.
I was 6 years old when I saw Batman '89. That didn't scar me. It didn't scar me. Maybe
No,
it did. I mean, you listen to the podcast, you'd be the judge of that. But same time, like
yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
everyone take responsibility for your own shit here.
Yeah.
But I was fine.
Yeah,
I was fine.
I don't know. I get aggravated.
Then again, I'm not happy with myself overall, so I don't know if I was fine. But I was fine. Right.
I think at some point when we get to about our age, most of the time, people start kind of looking at the world, looking at all the stuff they enjoyed leading up to that, going like, "Oh, that's awful. Why would we ever do that?" And now it's like I think society has come to a point, a particularly sour point for me in our navel gazing, that we've decided like, no, it's, we're going to, take parenting to a whole new micromanaging level, but we're going to do it about media. We're going to blame media. Sure. And you know what? I mean, there are so many, like DC and Warner Brothers puts out so many iterations of these characters. I'm sorry. I can watch my adult-oriented, Harley Quinn thing where she has sex with Nightwing. By the way, that preview came out and it totally looks like she's having sex with Nightwing. And I'm going to laugh and I'm going to enjoy it, even though it's going to make me uncomfortable.
And it seems like a thing that might happen.
It seems like a thing that might happen. Then again, I'm probably going to show my nephew at some point Batman the Brave and the Bold, and I'm going to be perfectly happy with that choice.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think they're diversifying and making a lot of different things for a lot of different people, and not everyone is privy to all of those things, and maybe they should do a little more research if they're going to complain about it. Because I think those characters are available for people of all ages.
Yes. I just think you have to look hard enough in a lot of ways. We're talking about...
And also the demographics are showing kids aren't buying comic books anyway, so it's us.
Yeah, it really is us now. And we're talking about 75 plus years of continuity. Yes. They're watching tomatoes and oranges dancing on screen when they're 3 years old, and they're bringing the video up.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about 75 plus years of continuity. There are variations of any of that. I mean, find what works for you. It's all out there.
I'm looking at it positively, though, because, even when I was a kid, you had a notion among the adults, the people who were our age at the time, that said, comic books are for kids. Well, no, they're for everyone. Or they can be for everyone. I
mean, don't get me wrong. They weren't always for everyone. Like, they had a kiddie period. Like, they were originally for, like, a certain age. They kind of grew up as the medium went. But we've gotten to the point now where, like, it has grown to the point where you've got comic book properties and even comic books themselves that are for everybody.
Yeah.
Including the older. And then
let's not forget, though, I mean, you go back to the 70s and they were leaning heavily back into the late 70s, they were leaning heavily back into where comic books started with people actually just killing other people. And, which were way grittier in a lot of ways than, in some ways than what we have now. The golden age. But, in the 70s and back in the 30s and the 40s, certain things were okay that are not okay now because, oh no, the children. So, I mean, I think a lot of things that were rougher back then are suddenly not acceptable now, and people are freaking out about it. Which I don't understand. But, sure, take some of the sexism out and the racism. All that stuff is good, unless it's like a story point.
No, we should be moving on from certain things, absolutely. But
no. I think it's good.
I mean, certain things are a product of your time, but like the idea that something is an adult content, that should move on to.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of different platforms, a lot of different mediums.
Yeah.
All right, one DC property that should never be developed into film or television, Commandi.
Yep, just going to second that. Commandi.
We got enough of him in The Brave and the Bold.
Done.
Why DC? What drew you to it over other shows and genres to make a podcast about it? We know a lot about it.
We liked it more.
We liked it more, you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I like it about as equal as I do other things. Star Trek and Buffy and... I mean, there's a lot more to it than a lot of those things.
Well, and at the time that we were thinking about doing this thing, there was a lot more coming out about it.
Mm-hmm. There's more coming out now, but...
Yeah, like we were thinking about it at the time when it was there's like a couple things on.
Yeah, like a lot of the properties I love, there's just not a whole lot coming out about them.
Well, I mean, when we were
DC's constantly got stuff coming up.
thinking about doing a show, it was like, oh, there's like a show named Arrow, and then we turned around, it was like, well, I guess we're going to cover Flash and Gotham.
Yeah.
It was,
yeah.
They'd kind of expanded as we went.
I mean, all that stuff was around when we actually decided to pull the trigger, but
yeah,
you know, it seemed like a viable. I was trying to make some sort of a business decision, and I was like, look, we talk specifically about all of these things.
all the time.
So
That's partly my fault. Like, I was always more fascinated with these characters than I was Marvel's characters.
I just love everything.
I know, and I just
actually with the
tended
Marvel
to
stuff,
like steer the conversation that way a lot.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is like the Marvel stuff. Like Matt had come to me a few years ago and wanting to do a Marvel show with me, like a podcast, and we're talking about Marvel Cinematic Universe, like what he does with Jeff Randall, and I was always kind of like. Because I love Marvel, but specifically I read Spider-Man and X-Men. Like, I enjoyed Avengers from time to time.
Sure.
But it wasn't like... And there was a point where I got like everything and I'm crazy. But, you know, I didn't grow up with that. That wasn't the mother's milk for me.
Yeah.
So, you know... But DC, like, I've been all up in that grill for a long time.
No, those are like my first memories of really enjoying something. I mean, yeah, I was a Spider-Man fan too when I was a kid, but it was... here and there. And yeah, like the X-Men cartoon growing up. Oh, absolutely. I was into it. But
if we were doing a podcast about the X-Men movies, I think I'd probably have already quit it by now.
I wouldn't know what to do.
I do enjoy DC. And, you know, and then I kept trying to get him into it. And then Matt kept going like, hey man, you guys should do a sister show or whatever. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I kept hounding Jason. That's really all it was, man.
That's about it.
We love DC though. So.
We eventually got there.
What does DC mean to you? Detective Comics.
I don't know. Security blanket.
What is it about the superheroes that appeal to you? I don't know if you mean the superheroes of the DC universe, but because it's different for different superheroes, really. I mean,
yeah.
And DC has gotten better about this over the years. Admittedly, Marvel had more of a handle on the relatable characters, but I think when they kind of really started bringing Nightwing and different characters in, like Teen Titans and stuff, like they kind of just, I don't know, whipped the hell out of Spider-Man on relatability, as far as I'm concerned.
Something, and I'm going to get a lot of shit for generalizing as I'm about to, but Marvel has done a better job at being more relatable and more socially conscious over the years.
Somewhat, yeah.
DC's certainly done their share of it, but like to me, DC's had this kind of it's like our time's, you know, Greek or Norse or Roman mythology. Mm-hmm. Like it has this godlike characteristic feel to it. And again, I'm going to get a huge amount of backlash from people saying like, "Oh my god, these Marvel people act like gods too." I fucking know, I understand.
Yeah,
like Legion's probably the most powerful thing that was ever put on paper. I get it, but it just. Overall, you get like this. The tone I get from DC Comics is, and one of the reasons I like it a lot is it has this. It feels like it's the gods of our time in a way. Mm-hmm. Like fictionally, it's the gods of our time, and I really love being able to tell stories about, you know, like the great extent of what could happen to, you know, possible humanities and possible universes.
And speaking of that, I really like the DC thing that they do, and I don't feel like they touch on it a lot in Marvel. They kind of do with mutants and humans, but I really like the idea that, like, you know, you have aliens and gods dealing with humans. Like, you have the ground-based vigilantes that Detective Comics was the name came.
The name from. Literally comes from. Yeah.
And you have them like coping with these gods. I think that's one of the reasons I like Batman v Superman so much, because it actually tackled that.
Yeah.
Like Marvel, you got the Avengers, and people are like, "Oh no, things are falling and stuff." But then, like the next movie, they were like, "Yeah, there are aliens, but we still got to go to work and stuff." Like we got nothing to say about it, you know. The girl from Growing Pains was saved by Captain America. She seemed pretty happy with it. But, you know, Batman v Superman, they actually, whether they failed or not, they at least attempted to really get into the meat politically with what was going on. And yeah, you had like the governments who were like against the Avengers a little bit, but then they were all Hydra, so who cares? Like, it was like they had an ulterior motive.
But it was a very politics, terrestrial set of politics, though.
Yeah.
With Marvel, a lot of, and again, I know there are variations on all these, but I'm just saying, like,
me too.
With X-Men in particular, I guess it was a lot of terrestrial battles. Mm-hmm. And that was for the good. Like that was there was a ton of great work there done to like the battle for integration, like the battle for equal rights that was fought among like just this set of stupid fucking books that we could all pick up for 10 cents. Fantastic. But I mean, as much as I love that, also I really loved the idea of like tackling the gods too, like and that part. You know, being a kid that was born like in 1984, that part affected me more.
And you know, that's when I was a kid, I hated Superman.
Yeah,
like I kind of liked him, but I loved him. Heavily swayed to not like him.
Loved him outright.
But you know, as I got older, I was like, you know what? You know, I like the notion when they actually dig in and say, you know, he is human. He was, you know, in as much as emotionally, he was raised as a human on a farm, but now he's like, how would a human being handle having God powers, like godlike powers? Like how do you justify going to sleep at night?
Yes.
How are you not in Africa feeding people? How are you not like?
Why are you eating right now?
Yeah, like. You know, why are you sticking it to Lois? There's no reason.
Seriously, like every time you stop, someone dies.
Yeah,
that's this amazing, like eternal quandary that I've always loved Superman for having to face. Is every single time you rest, someone died. Yeah,
I don't know. I think the
never-ending battle.
I enjoy the hell out of some DC stuff, man. I really do. I really do. No, where did we leave off?
I don't even know.
Oh, best pitch for a DC comedy.
All right, we talked about this before.
We did.
Can I go ahead and pitch a few?
A few, yeah.
Okay. we pitched a couple. So one of the ideas was just the idea of a DC retirement home. Where just the older characters just, well, I mean, eventually you just get too old. You get caught up in a home. You go to, I guess, either the Argus or Cadmus base.
Yeah, like my thought was like the one with the heroes is like a secret Cadmus base where they're like secretly, well, not even secretly, but they're cloning Superman and Batman. That's why they never age. Their younger versions just go out and fight crime.
The clones just go out. Like if they die, you just clone them again.
And then like the old versions of the characters are all kind of like hanging out in the nursing home, like pissed. They're like, I would have never gone that dark. Well, what's that Batman killing that guy for, you know?
Like an annual softball game where you're like, oh, my guy's going to get you.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit like Superboy and like Golden Age Superman, like in the bubble, like looking down at, you know, the current continuity and be like, that ain't right. And then like there'd be like the Argus retirement home with like the Suicide Squad, and they'd have like softball tournaments and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It's a dumb idea, but I thought
it was a dumb idea. But we had that idea. We had the idea of like, what if Arkham Asylum actually worked?
Yeah, that was a good one.
And
it would be like Frasier.
It would be like Frasier, where like Joker ran the radio show as Frasier, and he just gave off like basic psychological advice like Frasier used to do. Like,
you had like Creeper calling people,
Creeper calling in.
I just don't know. Like, I put on the boa again last night. Creeper.
I'm just sitting outside someone's window.
The boa.
Look at the window. All right, now look at the sky. Look at the sky and wonder, is this what I'm supposed to be doing right now? Like the idea would be like that like once you got out of Arkham Asylum, like it actually worked.
Yeah.
And you got out of there and we're like, oh my God, I'm so glad Batman caught me. I was completely doing the wrong thing with my life. So you'd have this wonderful like string of side guests who'd come in every now and then. And, like Bane would come in and talk about substance abuse.
Yeah.
And like Scarecrow would come in and talk about phobias and how to overcome them, and like like Two-Face would come in and talk about schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Riddler would talk about OCD, I guess.
Now my contribution to it was like the whole comedy bit of it was mainly the fact that each one of them kind of screws up from time to time.
That'd be the idea. Like every now and then, like
Batman and Superman are going to come over to the Joker's house, and he's like, he comes home and there's a dead body. He's like, and he's like hacking up the pieces and trying to hide them, like Niles would try to figure out how to hide a burnt souffle.
Yes.
Before the party guests arrive.
Yeah. Because like this version of Niles is Riddler, and he's in love with Harley Quinn, who's by the way the expert on codependency on domestic violence.
Mm-hmm. Of course she is.
Yeah, it
Oh, and I seriously think that Superman should be talking to the Joker. Like, the Joker is Superman's therapist.
Oh, yeah. No. But here would be the fun part, is like Superman would be there, but he would be like super dubious about the entire thing. Like, Batman would come in every now and then and be like, this is fantastic. I can't believe this is all working.
And they just made him an honorary psychiatrist because he's super sane.
Yeah. This is fantastic. I'm so glad everyone's okay. And then every now and then Clark would look at him like, seriously, you're believing that?
Yeah.
Like, you're buying this, man? But wouldn't do anything because he was trusting.
Yeah. I think it's pretty solid. I liked the Ambush Bug late night talk show idea.
Ambush Bug late night talk show was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Just you'd talk to every character as though it was an actor. Like, Batman would come on and talk about his new role and like.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about Rebirth with you finding the Watchmen button? Like, what do you think, man?
I didn't see that one coming. Honestly, I didn't see that one coming. But it's a little bit nicer than, Affleck killing everybody, which is, not really completely me, but, I favor Kevin Conroy.
So, you've talked to Kevin Conroy about this?
Oh, yeah. Or? Kevin Conroy's like, I don't know, we're good.
So you're on the same page?
Absolutely.
About the killing people?
Absolutely. I mean, I guess, like...
Have you talked to Snyder about the killing people?
Back in the early days, I was kind of like, okay, I was on a murdering spree, but... I'm kind of ashamed of those days.
Sure. Like, we all have regrets. But, like, you talked to Snyder recently about like, killing people?
Zach or Scott?
Oh, Zach, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, he claims he has a plan, so I guess I'm just gonna...
Just gonna roll with that?
I don't know.
Yeah, you've seen the new Justice League trailer. How do you feel he come across there?
I don't know. Aquaman was a little weird.
A little weird?
He doesn't sound like that in real life.
Sounds a little... What is it?
He's a little more British.
A little more British? Okay.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Affleck's chin.
Pretty solid, right?
It's good stuff.
It's good representation.
I feel about Affleck's chin kind of like I felt like Conroy's voice.
See?
His
right.
voice is a lot better than my voice, So.
Well, 1-to-1. Yeah, you feel pretty good. Anyway, our next guest is Abracadabra. He's going to be performing some magic. We're going to close the show with Lobo's band. What's the name of Lobo's band? What was that? Metal Shaved Head? No.
I think he changed it to Piss Throat 3000.
Piss Throat 3000. Okay, yeah, I knew there was a change recently. I couldn't decide. He doesn't really stick to anything for too long.
I mean, we can't show you right now, but he's just over there giving us the finger.
Honestly, God, I'm not sure if he's going to actually show up today or just kill half our audience.
He's right over there giving us the finger. What are you talking about, Ambush Bug?
But any of that could still happen.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You see outside of time. Okay.
Next question.
We went on with that too long. Oh. Let me see. Oh, we gotta turn the page. If DC was in the Star Trek universe, who would be the bridge crew? I have no idea.
No idea.
Kind of feel like Booster would be Captain Kirk.
It'd be fun.
And maybe Manhunter would be in sickbay. I don't know. I feel like Batman should be Spock, though.
Yeah, I could do with that. Manhunter with Spock, I could do with that too. But I couldn't defend anything in that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Universe.
I have no idea.
I couldn't fill that roster out completely. Just couldn't do it.
Have you watched a TV show or a movie that was so bad that you feel you wasted those minutes of your life, that it literally sucked the life from you and left you a lesser person because of how bad it was? Dreamcatcher, the Stephen King adaptation was pretty bad. That's the first one that comes to mind. The Contract with Morgan Freeman and John Cusack was pretty atrocious.
Quest for Peace.
Quest for Peace is at least fun on some level for me, so probably not that, but...
Smallville season 2. And 5.
Arrow season 4. Or 2. I don't know. I really don't know. Legends of Tomorrow. Period. No.
Legends of Tomorrow, the last episode.
The last episode, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. There's plenty of bad stuff out there that I've seen. There's a lot of it. Just, yeah. Moving on. What podcast would you do if you didn't do the DC one?
You got one?
I mean, is this a joint effort? I've got several podcasts that I still want to get to do.
Go for it. I got a couple.
I'm not even talking about them. Like, I kind of...
you're going to wait on that one?
Maybe. I've got a couple of ideas brewing. Like, more than a couple of ideas brewing. Like, one...
I think I would just do a show called Binge It. where I would just kind of like review TV shows that I was able to binge as I got around to them.
Okay. You know what? Screw it. I guess I'll say I really want to do a sort of a podcast where I interview famous people, but not at all talk about anything they're famous for. Like, I want to talk to famous politicians and talk about what their favorite TV shows are, or like their favorite book.
Yeah. Just the one book too. Like,
yeah, whatever. I mean, like, I'll you know.
Is it Goodnight Moon? We're going to talk about Goodnight Moon for an hour and a half.
Yeah, or just I don't know what I would call it, but it would just, I want to talk to people about things that they enjoy and things that they do outside of what they actually do, what they're best known for. So, maybe have Keith Richards on and just, I don't know, talk about Game of Thrones or something.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool. And there are several other ones. I would love to do a Star Trek Discovery podcast.
I mean, I think about a few properties, but like really, I would just do like a show where I just, like, if I had it at my leisure, I would just do one where I watched a show, like binge the crap out of a show. I'm like, all right, I'll just watch the crap out of this. This is, I'm going to talk about it for a little while.
And you know what? I totally just want to, and I'm no one would ever listen to it really, but I want to have a show where I just talk to my friends about random things. Just like,
That's always fun.
It's like, well, that was our 3-hour episode of our friend Brandon complaining about politicians.
Yep.
Tune in next week when me and my friend Byron talk about dad ass. I don't know.
I got a friend coming next week to give you about 2.5 hours on the Federal Reserve.
Seriously, me and my friend Byron, I had a talk. He just told me, he's like, man, I'm off tomorrow. And I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, well, I stay in a hotel because my house is being renovated. I was like, all right. He's like, he's like, man, I got a doo-doo so bad right now. And I'm like, oh, well then go home and doo-doo, man. I don't know what to tell you. And he's like, nah, man, let's go to Walmart. We're going to get some food. Man, I'm going to buy so much food because I'm going to eat it all. And then tomorrow I'm off. So you know what that means? I'm like, no, what does that mean? He's like, man, in the hotel room, I can just play video games and watch TV from the bathroom. I'm going to spend all day on the toilet. It's like, why is that a positive? He's
what
like,
is happening?
Man, I'm going to put ice in the tub. Man, all my drinks, my beer, my Cokes and everything's going to be in the tub. I'm going to be like sitting right there on the toilet with my food and my drinks, and I got my controller, and I don't know what's happening. Like, why are we?
That is.
I feel like there should be a podcast, though.
That is literally a less believable character. All right. For anyone who remembers Scrubs, when Tom Cavanaugh, Zach Braff's brother, is like mourning, he spends the entire mourning process in the bathtub, like playing with a rubber ducky and wondering which beer is full of soapy water and which beer is full of beer. You've actually found a less credible character than Tom Cavanaugh.
I know.
At his weirdest.
I know.
What the damn hell?
Byron's a funny dude, man. I really don't know how much of that, because like he'll say stuff like that, and I'll make joke about it later, and he's like, "You didn't actually believe that, did you?" I'm like, "Yes, you were certain. Like you kept insisting."
I mean, some part of me thinks, "Oh dear God, no," and some part of me thinks, "Go, man, go."
I mean,
like if that's your dream, live it.
I guess.
It seems like a simple,
My point is, I feel like
it won't hurt anybody else to rent a hotel room and do that. Go, man, if that's your dream, just do it.
My point is, I think I have colorful enough friends that, spending an hour with them on a podcast, any of them, yourself included, would not be the worst way to spend an hour.
Well, you've hung out on the phone with me for at least 45 minutes overall, so.
The first episode would be with you, just to transition from DC on screen
for
the audience that's following.
Just be like an hour of you asking me fucked up questions.
Yeah. No, that would be if like Brandon was the host. Like our friend Brandon, just like he'll just get on the phone with you. He's like, "So what would you do if you like woke up and you had 2 penises?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "I don't know, Brandon. What about if you were a millionaire and you had 2 penises?" I don't know, Brandon.
Yeah.
Usually, most of his questions have to do with the lottery, though. Like, what would you do if you like won the lottery? I'm like, yeah, I already told you what I'd do if I won the lottery. Yeah, what if you could only spend like a small percentage on it? Like, you can only have like a little bit of it at a time. Well, that's how the lottery works. Well, yeah, but what if you could only have that much, but you could only spend it on a certain type of grocery? Like, what is the point of this question? I love Brandon.
Like, beef, motherfucker. Beef.
Beef.
What is the point of this question?
Love Brandon. He's in some of our videos.
He's fantastic in those.
Just, oh my gosh. So Steven Chipperson, Dr. Steve, says, do you think they can do Green Lantern justice without making him look stupid? I don't think they didn't think they made him look stupid in the movie they did in 2011, honestly.
If that's the reference, no, I don't think that.
He looked a little CGI'd, but
it's famous and infamously CGI.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if anybody can do it, it'd be Snyder, but I mean, everyone's kind of hollering at Snyder because apparently, screw him, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, the person I would like to see, I can't remember his stupid name now. It's always in my head, and I can never remember it. Now, when I'm on the air, the guy that did Fifth Element, the guy that's doing Valerian. Have you seen the trailer for Valerian?
Mm-mm.
Like a space opera movie. It looks crazy, but he's really good at doing like crazy creatures. I can't remember his name, but he's a French guy. He's fantastic, and I think he could make Green Lantern look great. I think that would be a really cool idea. Much better than David Goyer. Much better than David
Goyer.
So
now,
yes,
I would like to think of that question in response to without making him look stupid being, yes, the synopses we've heard so far make him feel stupid.
On his face, I don't feel like, a dude that has a power ring that can make shit happen. I don't feel like that's stupid necessarily.
It's
as stupid as a man dressed as a bat running around, flapping around Gotham.
But it's just like, it's
as stupid as a man in a red leotard running around making lightning.
It's the most powerful weapon in the universe.
It is the most powerful weapon in the universe.
And he's supposed to be the best wielder of said weapon.
Right.
It's stupid isn't supposed to enter into it.
Yeah.
Except Guy Gardner's haircut.
Sure. Or the point where he's like, back in the 70s, they were all really obsessed with like boxing gloves. Like Green Arrow had to have a boxing glove arrow, and
that was
Hal
all
Jordan
hilarious.
just like punched people with a big
That was
glove.
fantastic. How was it not funny to punch someone out with a giant boxing glove?
I don't know. I would do it.
I would do the hell out of that. I would literally create a giant kangaroo and have him pop him with his foot.
Yeah.
And laugh my ass off.
Yeah.
As I put little green handcuffs on the guy.
Yeah.
Flew him back to his... Still be laughing. I had a kangaroo kick him.
Yeah. Or a giant mouse if you're Sylvester the Cat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's definitely a way to do it. Justice. You just gotta take it seriously and know what to do. Do as much practical as you can.
Yeah.
Do as much practical as you can.
It's probably the way to go, yeah.
All right. So, Paul Klotz of the Giant Size Team Up Network, and referencing Epic Boss McFall, Charles McFall.
What up, Charles?
How exhausting is it to provide Charles McFall with literally all of his thoughts? How much does he pay you for his opinions?
0.
Yeah. We just do our show. Charles is a grown-ass man. He can choose to just, I don't know, have our opinions all he wants.
The man is a qualified paramedic. If his thoughts were in trouble, he could literally save his own thoughts.
That's fair. Then again, I kind of want to be paid for this service.
Right?
Anyway. Chris Wisdom, also of the Giant Size Team Up Network, says, Real talk. The schism that the DCEU products have created in the fandom, justified or just insatiable nerd rage? Are the fans that like them undiscerning yes men? Are those that don't like them inconsolable fan babies? Or is there a middle ground that allows for a more nuanced answer? I feel like the number 3 is the answer, but you don't hear or see much of that on the webs. You do if you listen to our show.
I think you do.
Because I think that's kind of where we always fall. I think there are a lot of, like I've said, I think there are a lot of critics who are just kind of coming of age now, and they started their whole superhero journey with Marvel, so they're kind of predisposed to hate anything that's not Marvel.
Yep.
I also think that the other DC fans have all these different iterations of the DC characters that they want to see on the screen, and they're not necessarily getting that because they're new creators who are coming in and interpreting those characters the way they feel like they need to be interpreted, and that's pissing people off, I think it's a lot of different things. I think some of it is the fan babies just, not having an imagination and not wanting to see different versions of these characters. And I used to be more on that line of being pissed off that they're not doing what I wanted them to do, but that's not fair. And honestly when we get to the point of like how the movies aren't being edited well and like Warner Brothers is like forcing them to do complete scripts in 6 weeks and then having trailer companies come in and edit your entire movie, that's horseshit and shouldn't happen ever. And I think they're trying to play catch up, and I think that was screwing them over, and hopefully they're over that phase.
God, hopefully, yeah.
But then again, I'm trying to be pragmatic about the whole thing and look at it from a distance and say, well, the first 3 Marvel movies weren't great. I mean, Iron Man was pretty good. Iron Man was fantastic.
Pretty great, yeah.
Iron Man 2 was divisive.
Not great. Incredible
Hulk, more than divisive. So much so they recast the dude. Well, that's probably not the only reason, but Ed Norton's kind of a dick, I hear.
No, but like as the current continuity as you have it, it's it pick any intellectual property, and you have a certain percentage of people that live in this out of 100%. Say it's 20% of these people that expect one quality out of that person.
Yeah.
Well, if they don't get that, they're out.
Yeah,
there's just a certain amount of expectations that are like hidden inside this box that we don't even necessarily realize that is a thing that we're expecting until we see it and it's not fulfilled.
Yeah.
And then you see it and go, oh, this was bullshit.
Now, my biggest issue is, especially when you like look back at Man of Steel, I'm like, well, why would you do that with Paul Kent? Because to me, like, I think like if you look at any continuity, you go, why would you give up a better play for something that doesn't resonate nearly as much? Like, if it plays and it plays well and you can't think of a better thing, keep the old thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of creators are just like, nope, we're doing a different thing. This is going to be my thing. I don't care if it's better or not. And I feel like some of that happened on Man of Steel.
Probably, yeah.
I feel like some of that happened with Batman v Superman, and definitely some of that happened with Suicide Squad. I'm not willing to throw it all out yet, because, ultimately, even though it pains me, it just digs at my soul. Even with the Nolan Batman films, I'm going to have to just go ahead and bite my lip and take the stance that Grant Morrison has. Every version is valid. And, it's something in between. It really is, guys. I think it is. There's a lot of issues and a lot of different versions that we talked about earlier for kids and for all these different people. And
there's lots of love. There's lots of hate.
And sometimes there's a lot to love.
A lot to leave behind. There's a lot to clutch onto. Like, it's just...
And it all depends. Like, certain, for years they wouldn't do Mix You Spittle-Lick because they're like, that's dumb. Batmite's dumb. Fifth Dimension's dumb. And now we're just,
Suddenly he's there.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway. Franco Curia on Facebook says, TV related, which series are you enjoying the most this season? Just curious. Arrow.
Easy.
DCEU related, do you think the current universe will make it past the 10-year mark? I don't see how it can't.
No. Money begets money, man.
I mean, they've done 3 films. They're already bringing in, like, they're trying to bring in Whedon with the Batgirl, and they're already bringing the solo Nightwing. And
they've profited nearly $1 billion
Shazams.
on what's happening right now. They're fine. The money will keep coming back.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way it doesn't reach the 10-year mark. Brent Clark over at the DCTV Squadcast says, what's your favorite MCU movie? Winter Soldier.
Really tough call.
I would say Winter Soldier or Guardians of the Galaxy.
God, I might say Guardians.
Favorite
Guardians. Yeah.
Favorite of the X-Men movie.
That's like by 4%.
Yeah.
Like 4%. Those are both probably my favorite.
Favorite of the X-Men movie is going to be Logan or Deadpool. And for completely different reasons. It's a tie. I might go Logan just because it's supposedly the last Jackman.
No, out of X-Men movies, Logan, hands down. If you say, like, what's my favorite movie that an X-Men appeared in?
Right.
It's Deadpool.
It's Deadpool, yeah. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We only got a few more questions left. Randall Smith says, what mature DC material would you most like to see produced for streaming services? I would want to go HBO, not really streaming necessarily. And I would want to go with, obviously the one I want most is my big, 10 to 12 year Batman epic.
Yeah.
That just goes into, from, year one to Batman Beyond. I want to, the last thing is going to be, I want Bruce mangled and old and tired in his chair and watching Terry fly off as Batman. That would be the last call. But if it wasn't Batman, I don't know, Lobo. Or, I don't know. I really want that Batman. I would love to see a hard-boiled Superman, but I don't think people would like that, apparently. Look at Man of Steel.
Apparently, that wouldn't go over. Bloodhaven has always gotten less credit than it deserves as far as being a piece of shit town.
Right.
So, an actual Nightwing special with...
in some instances, it's been referred to as Gotham's ugly sister.
Seriously, it's always referred to really as the thing Gotham doesn't want to be.
Yeah, so I would be down with a lot of dark, mature things.
Yeah, you could get some steamy scenes with Starfire.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Tuber Screw over email says you guys have mentioned stand-up comedy a few times. Who are your favorite comedians?
You want to go first?
I'll let you go first.
Bill Hicks. Outright. Done. Period. I'm gonna still... Your favorite, probably Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Christopher Titus. Kristen Finnegan. Todd Barry. Liza Schlesinger. Jesus. I feel like I could keep going on. Stephen Wright.
Mm-hmm.
God. Name some people.
Mitch Hedberg.
Oh, fuck yes.
Love Mitch Hedberg. Again, yeah, he was on point. Louis C.K. is at the moment my favorite stand-up. He has been for several years. Yeah, he has been for several years. But with Louis, my fascination with him goes further because he's also a really brilliant writer and director.
He's
So he's a
Bill Hicks to me is this iconic figure, but Louis C.K. is right below him for me. Really is.
Yeah, I really loving Dave Chappelle's comeback.
Oh God, Dave Chappelle.
Really enjoying that.
He's always been good. I mean, there's not been a lapse in Dave Chappelle's stand-up routine. Yeah.
Sadly, I would have said Bill Cosby just a few scant years ago, but now it's just...
It doesn't mean his stand-up wasn't good. It's
stand-up was on point,
piece of shit now.
Stand-up was on point. Even the, goody good
same time, Richard Pryor.
Hilarious.
Richard Pryor,
Richard
he was always good. It's just that suddenly he was a drug guy that was also really fucking good.
Richard Pryor somewhat falls into the same category as George Carlin does with me.
Yeah.
Where it was really brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
And then it became a thing of I'm going to do about 15, 20 minutes of really brilliant comedy and then really bum you the hell out with talk about different, I don't want to hear about philosophy and how mankind is scred or about your drug habit.
I do love that stuff.
So, it's interesting, but it's, again, and I'm starting to feel like Louis kind of popping over to that.
I'm fine. Lenny Bruce was the origin story for me for stand-up comics.
But yeah, I love stand-up comedy. Norm Macdonald. If I had to if I had to choose two,
Norm is so good.
If I had to choose two of all time, it would be Louis. So far, right now,
Louis and Norm.
Louis and Norm. Yeah,
that's fair.
Louis and Norm. A lot of the old, I even, sue me. I even enjoy Dennis Miller from time to time.
He's pretty good.
He's funny. People are like, he changed his political views. I'm sorry.
You're supposed to.
Yeah.
Things change. You're supposed to change your views.
And if, anyone was willing to get their head out of their ass for a second, stop being angry over him changing his mind about some things, and you ever listened to his old radio show, he was actually really just fence rider.
Yeah.
He's on Bill O'Reilly, but, I don't think he cares.
Oh, I'm forgetting Mark Maron, by the way.
Mark Maron is fine. He's
God damn, I love Mark Maron.
I enjoy him more as an interviewer and podcast personality than I do as actual
I really love his stand-up.
Yeah, it's solid. I'll give him that. It's solid. I do enjoy
it. One of my favorite bits of him is him saying I feel like people don't so much enjoy or how does he put it? I feel like people don't enjoy listening to me, they mostly leave wondering if I'm okay.
Yeah. That's a good one. He's a funny guy. He's a very funny guy.
It's a solid bit.
I do like Christopher Titus. You mentioned Stephen Wright. I love Stephen Wright.
Yeah.
He was my favorite comic for
Patton
probably
Oswalt.
10, 15 years.
Patton Oswalt. Jesus Christ, man. Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. I enjoy a lot of them.
I literally
Sarah
can't
Silverman.
remember. Oh, God, yes. Whitney Cummings, even. I can't remember enough comics to actually fill that out.
Yeah. One who's not on my list, Bruce.
I don't know him.
Don't. His catchphrase is, "Tell your mama I said thank you."
Oh, Jesus.
It's bad.
That sounds terrible.
It's bad.
All right. I told you about the guy named, was it Big Jim Okerson?
Mm-hmm. Tom Papa. He's really good.
I feel like that relates to what I was saying. What are you saying?
Tom Papa.
All right. So Big Jim Okerson. I sat there and listened to this guy did an entire CD at Big Jim Okerson. I hope I got the name right. An entire CD where it was just crowd work. And I swear all he did for the entire CD was talk about people's genitals in the actual crowd.
Didn't Louis produce something for Todd Barry that was like that?
Yes.
It was just a crowd work?
Yes. He did a crowd work album. It was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still haven't gotten around to that.
No, it's good.
I'm not as big on Todd Barry as you are.
Todd Barry's good.
I'm also not as big as on Dave Barry as some people are.
Don't know Todd Barry.
I do enjoy Dave Barry, though.
Don't know him.
Give Dave Barry a whirl.
I'm on it.
More of just a humorist. I don't know if he's actually been a stand-up. Anyway, can't know everybody. There's a little bit of that. My girlfriend Bethany says, what is your take on Marvel versus DC people, or Star Trek versus Star Wars people, or their ilk? Why do you think they have to despise one to love the other?
Bollocks.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
That's really it. Bollocks. There's no need to despise.
I know. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I like some Star Wars and most Star Trek. I'm looking at you, Voyager. You know where you sit with me, piece of crap.
I mean, we love DC and Marvel, and God help you, you know way more about the Star Treks.
I know a lot. I know a huge amount about Star Wars.
Treks than I do.
I know a lot about Star Wars too.
Star Wars, sure.
I don't even know why.
Sure.
I completely don't know why I know so much about Star Wars. I don't really care about it.
I've never understood why there has to be a battle.
I don't either.
I just haven't understood that in general, though. For me, it's why do different sports have to have, why does a baseball fan have to resent a football fan?
Yeah, like we were talking earlier about Marvel and DC and their differences. I go to each of those things. I go to Marvel and DC for different things.
Yeah.
And I would go to Marvel and DC. I already said that. I would go to DC. Sorry, God, what is wrong with me? Star Trek and
You'll
Star
get this
Wars.
together.
I would go to Star Trek.
I believe in you.
Shut up. I would go to Star Trek. I go to Star Trek and Star Wars for different things as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that to me is like being like, which one do you like, X-Files or Fringe? Well, X-Files, but that's not the point. You know what? X-Files never did like multiverse, you know?
Yeah.
But at the
Fringe
same
at
time,
least took some chances. They were a piece of shit when they did it, but they took some chances.
yeah, at the same time, X-Files is twice as long as Fringe and ended about as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, what are we going to do? We just admit to ourselves that X-Files should have had multiverses and Walter should have been on X-Files. I think that's what, I don't think that helped the question
Alternate shouldn't have.
Alternate.
Yeah.
Folivia.
Yeah.
With her insidious vagina.
Seriously, those were the three best things that entire show came up with.
Mm-hmm.
Walternate, Folivia, and Vagina.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, there's that. We got a couple more questions from Jonathan Lynette. He says, John Schnepp from Collider, who we do not trust. Like, seriously, like, this is going to be kind of a fun question to answer, but this dude is always full of shit. So,
Great.
Screw him.
All right.
I had a theory that Plan B of the DCEU is a soft reboot. Having the Flash makes it very possible, i.e. Flashpoint. Basis of the theory is the Flash movie is getting a rewrite. Affleck may be out of the Batman after Justice League, the announcement of a Nightwing movie to replace Affleck, and the report that Matthew Vaughn is going to do a soft reboot of Superman and Man of Steel 2. What do you guys think? I don't think there's any indication that any of that's true. The only person I know of that has said this is John Schnepp.
Seriously, cute. Tenuous at best.
Yeah, I mean,
That's all I got.
They could do it. If Affleck really wants out, they could bring in a Nightwing.
All of that could hang together,
sure.
but
I mean,
tenuous at best.
It's not like a huge, like, world-ending theory. It's just a, hey, you know what? That thing we were going to do 15 years from now, why don't we just do it now?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
Shove it in.
I haven't seen anything that says nothing of substance that says that this is going to be a reboot.
No,
this dude is
just a thing
renowned
proposed.
for being kind of a dickwad when it comes to the DCEU. He just says stuff to get clicks, man. That's what he does. He says a follow-up question is, if Affleck is out as the Batman after Justice League and Matt Reeves wants to do a trilogy, how should WB write out Affleck? Recast, or does he pass on the cowl? I'd probably rather him pass on the cowl.
Yeah. I
don't really want to do I don't like recasts.
No. Always. No.
And he says, thanks for the opportunity for the fans to ask questions. It's really cool you guys are taking the time.
Always a pleasure.
I think he was the only one who thanked us for taking the time.
Aw.
He's a good man.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think that's all of our questions. I don't know of any others.
All right, I'm good with it.
You good with it?
Yeah, let's call it.
It is called.
You good?
Get the hell out, guys. We are DC On Screen. You can find every episode at DCOnScreen.com. It's been a lot of fun talking to you guys and hanging with you. And we'll do another Q&A someday. And, we're
always available for Q&As. I mean,
you guys can contact us anytime. DC On Screen, one word, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we're everywhere. DCOnScreen@gmail.com. We're looking to expand where we are, and we'll be slowly doing that over the course of the next several decades. And we love you guys.
Such hope.
Yeah,
Such hope for the previous.
We gotta last at least as long as the DCEU, right?
Right.
Proud members of the Giant Size Team Up Network, GiantSizeTeamUp.com. Thank you guys for all of your questions, and we love you for listening, and we hope we haven't scared you off there. And I'm a little surprised that no one asked us what our favorite book was, our actual novel or anything.
On the Road.
Sirens of Titan by Kurt Vonnegut. There you go. You have that one now too. That's a bonus. For those people who don't just click off of the thing because we're doing our rote call to action.
Yeah.
Like, call to action. And then they're like sitting there like, I wonder what their favorite book was. They should have said that.
Yeah, we nailed that too.
Yeah, screw you guys. You didn't hear me say that, so you're not offended because you already clicked off the episode. Alright, guys, next time we're going to be coming back with an episode of the DC EU news. I'm sure a lot of clickbait happened, and a lot of people did some stuff and talked some stuff, and Jason Momoa played with himself. That's a real thing. Mm-hmm. And
we'll talk about that later.
Until next time, guys, keep some DC on your screen.